Okay, I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kwadash. Double honours to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who teacheth the Bible in 100% truth. And Shalom to the hopeful elect of the 12 tribes of Israel, consist of the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans in the land of the Americas, as well as a speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners living amongst other nations. Shalom to you. Okay, today I'm just trying out a new format. Obviously, as you can see, I'm working off the desktop, so the microphone is something that I probably want to change at some point. I'll just use what I found lying around, so Lord willing, you can hear me well enough today. So I'm just going to do a quick short video, well, not short but not too long. It's, a few bits and pieces I've been watching over the last couple of days. As you can hear, my voice is a little bit bunged up. I've had a bit of another sinus issue. I always get these sinus problems, and my nose starts blocking up, and then it starts to hurt around my eye, and then my eyes, I can't really see properly out of my eye and all that kind of stuff. It's like I keep getting, it's like weeping keeps coming out of my left eye. So anyway, so unfortunately I was unable to get through this in the last couple of days. And also on Friday night I had a relative passed away, my mum's sister. The Most High literally just jacked her spirit up, and she was 60 years old a couple of days before that. But I think the same night Apostle Tahad did his video regarding the ancient Egyptian customs, and the funerals and so on and so forth. So that's been a bit of a headache, because obviously you got a family there now all in mourning. They're asking questions, this, that and the other, but obviously from our point of view, understanding the truth through the Holy Spirit, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, we understand fully. We understand the cycle of life and death. We understand that reincarnation is a biblical concept and is actually a true concept, and so on and so forth. So it's just another, there's always something, one thing on top of another thing. So that's just what I've been dealing with for the last couple of days. So, but I wanted to get onto this subject of the Third World War. I've got a video here. So I was thinking about this on Friday, and then I kind of got interrupted. Taken off a different path. Saturday I was dealing with other stuff, and then now it's today's Sunday. It's the 6th of October, and as of obviously the 2 days have gone by, more information is coming out relating to the topic. So you can see this video here in the bottom right hand corner. Let me just expand that. So this is back to our friend again, Mahmoud. As you can see, the bottom left here, this is Mahmoud. I've never come across this guy before, but in the last week or so, obviously with all the escalation in situation, regarding the Middle East, I've come across this particular person, and he is actually coming out with some good information. What he's able to do, he's in the Middle East, I believe, and he's pulling out articles that are in the small hat articles, or all the Arab countries around them, different articles, different pieces of information that we probably don't get over here in the West. And so you can see at the bottom here, small hats attack tonight. It says a year to 7th of October attacks. What do we know? And he's, I think what they've done is they've closed the airspace in this particular area. Yeah, here you go. Look, so Iran cancels all flights until 7th of October due to operational restrictions. So over the last day or so, they've started to close the airspaces, but he's saying it's probably going to continue. And he's going into the fact that certain countries like Russia are telling their citizens in Syria to leave, and so on and so forth. You've had all these things happening over the last couple of days. You've had the UK Prime Minister, I know that for a fact, he's told any British nationals in the Middle East to get out of that area while they can, while the airspace is still open. But they're saying, what this person's going into is slowly they're starting to shut them down. So a lot is happening in the Middle East, and there's another one here. Small hats and the US agree on an attack plan. Iran moves oil tankers, Netanyahu's house targeted. So these two articles, these videos, I'm going to leave the link for these videos in the description box, so if you get a chance I would watch them. This one's an hour and a half, the other one's 50 minutes, but I'd watch this one first if you can, because this is obviously the latest one, and I watched it up until about, say, half an hour, and then he starts taking, answering the questions from the comment board. So really you only need the first half an hour of this, and then this one I only got 45 minutes into it, but he kind of takes you through particular articles. Let's see if I can see here. So the Small Hats is planning a response in Iran. They will pay with interest, and they are also looking at Iraq. We will find something there to do, find something to do there. So, like I say, it's Sunday, it's the 6th of October, and in the last couple of days, since the weekend, you've seen an increase in the violence, the fighting that's going on. We know last week that the Iranians they hit the Small Hats with 180 ballistic missiles. Since then there's various reports coming out. I mentioned the difference between a ballistic and a cruise missile, and through some of the reports that I heard, out of the 180 ballistic missiles sent over by Iran, 2 of them were cruise missiles. Apparently those 2 did hit, and I've seen pictures of a school which was obviously destroyed by one of these particular missiles, but it was at night time, so there was no casualties. So there's a lot of talk. You watch the media and they want to paint a picture that even though it's questionable what Netanyahu's doing, he's doing it within, there's no it's a bit like Russia and Ukraine. They tried to paint a picture like, oh, Ukraine just took a big blow out of Russia, but we know the real story is that ultimately Ukraine is getting crushed slowly by Russia. So you have to be careful when you're watching the media. They tend to try to paint this picture, and obviously it all leads back into the elite bankers' plans, the agendas, them controlling the system, controlling the governments, controlling the media. And that's what I explained in the previous video. You've got the situation in the Middle East. Everybody's just waiting for this one particular event where Iran strike the Small Hats quite heavily, and then that retaliates, and so on and so forth. But like I've explained, there's a strategic game that's being played in the Middle East. They've even though, for example, there's been war in Lebanon in 2006, there's been relative peace in the Middle East, as they say it, for 30 odd years. It's been quite stable compared to when you go back to the 80s and in previous times to that. A lot of the Arab leaders now say, look, the last 30 years have been pretty good, we've made progress, but the situation is Bibi Netanyahu is taking them backwards. See, this is what I explained in the previous video. You've got the Most High putting a will on a particular man to go against the grain, go against the last 30 years of work, to undo it all slowly. And ultimately, according to prophecy, we know that that particular person will then draw out other nations into the Third World War. At least the flock shall draw them out. So I also explained that Iran can't just come out and strike the small hats in a big way straight off the bat, because they want to protect their nuclear program. Well, there's another big bit of news this weekend, which is why I want you to watch this particular video. So the first one here, where you only have to watch the first half an hour. Apparently there are reports that over the weekend, here we go, over the weekend there have been reports that there was an earthquake-like tremor around the Middle East. Now some people are saying, what you would experience with the earthquake, it was similar, however there were some differences. And so now there are reports that Iran are testing a nuclear bomb, and apparently the reports are that Saturday night, Iran tested a nuclear bomb somewhere in the Middle East. It caused an earthquake-like tremor, but not quite what you'd experience in a real earthquake. Obviously it's an explosion, so it's going to make the ground shake. So a lot of people have gone out this Friday. From Friday to tomorrow's Monday morning, they've enjoyed their weekend. They've got work tomorrow. They're just trying to live their lives. They've worked all week for this hard money. Life isn't as great as it used to be, with the way that the financial situation is, for example, around the world now. But people are just trying to enjoy their lives this weekend. And little do they know that supposedly Iran have tested a nuclear bomb in the Middle East. And so when you go back to this second video that I was pointing at, you can see now at the bottom, the title, the small hats and the US agree on an attack plan. Iran moves oil tankers because they're gearing up for war. A Russian base, or somewhere close to a Russian base in Syria, the small hats detonated a bomb, a missile a couple of days ago. I think Apostle Tahar brought that out. And so even Russia have told all the Russian nationals in Syria, now it is the time to leave while the airspace is open, because we expect it to be closed very soon. You see, so we wait for this strike. Oh, why did Iran do that? Why didn't they? It's happening. This thing's happening. The Most High is making it happen. These little chess pieces are getting moved into the right position. And if these reports are correct that Iran is testing this nuclear bomb this weekend, that means we're in for some exciting times very, very soon. Just trying to think, what else off the top of my mind. I mean, the situation with that region going into war. Iran has obviously major supply of oil. They can also control the oil supply and the trade routes through, where the Houthis are in Yemen. So once these things start to happen, you'll start to see dramatic increases in price and a dramatic reduction in goods available around the world, maybe even oil, just like we did, we saw in the situation with Russia, Ukraine. It looks like that we're knocking at the door of this situation again. So this all falls back into what I've been saying. You've got these banking elites who have got Netanyahu on this rampage. They're backing him. And what this Mahmoud does on this second video, this one where small hats and US agree on attack plan, he explains how the small hats Bibi Netanyahu is basically trying to draw America into the war. America say, no, don't do this, don't do that, we would like it if you ceasefire. Bibi goes ahead and carries on with his charge, his war charge, yet America keeps supplying him with weapons and soldiers. And so, what this Mahmoud does, he talks you through the scenario and shows you how Bibi Netanyahu is basically, he's almost playing chicken, and he's putting America on the line where America have to respond. So he's drawing out American troops into that area slowly by doing what he's doing. I explained that in the previous video. The Most High is raising up Bibi Netanyahu to do what he's doing. First of all, he has to reverse this 30 years of work, and by doing all this prodding and poking for the last year, it's got Iran in serious thinking mode. So now they're testing their nuclear bomb, and supposedly that's what the reports say. So now there's a bigger problem, and the small hats will go back to America and say, well, look, we told you, these you need to send us more troops. Meanwhile, everybody's playing this political game, which is going to result in nations worldwide falling out with America and the small hats, which ultimately, towards the end of World War III, you'll have nuclear ICBMs shot on America to destroy it, and also the land of Israel will be destroyed. So that's what I was trying to explain the other day. It's actually developing right before our eyes. You're seeing it. You're seeing this whole situation of having this supposed nuclear. Do they have it? Do they not have it? And then Bibi Netanyahu, he's got this agenda from the elites. He goes ahead with it. You've got many people calling him out, saying you're taking out your own people. You're a madman. You're doing it. You're too kamikaze. So supposedly the UN, all these people are calling him out, yet he's still able to go ahead and get away with it. So we're getting close to that breaking point. We're getting very, very close. If your eyes are open and you're following it and you understand it, you can see that what the Most High is actually doing, how he's actually moving the positions into place. So and obviously on the fact I just mentioned as well, I mentioned it quite quickly, is the fact that over the weekend you've also had the attack from the small hats on Beirut is intensifying. It's been going on over the weekend, and it's intensifying because Iraqi militia, whatever you want to call them, I don't know what the name of the group are, but militant groups from Iraq are joining in by sending drones over to Lebanon to hit the small hats. So now you've got another party joining, although I'm not sure what the exact name of the group are. Now you look here, this is Wikipedia. Let's go to the top. So you've got list of designated terrorist groups, and so they are designated this title by who? By the United Nations Security Council Committee. And so you see this first list, this is ones that the UN has given credence to, if you like, to say, these are major organizations, we accept that they're there, but we put them under the banner of TERRORISTs. Now you go through this long list, look at this one here, I'm pretty sure you recognize that, but then there are many factions. Here they are in the Arabian Peninsula, in the Islamic Maghreb, wherever that is. Anyway, so you go down to these, you look at this group, look at these groups. This is who they class as TERRORISTs. This is why Bibi Netanyahu comes out and says, what they're dealing with with Hamas and Hezbollah spreads over 5 continents. And the reason why he says it is because they link all that to them. He says that's why he tells the UN, look, these people spread over 5 continents. But you don't go around seeing Hezbollah in all these different continents, but it's these groups. They link up. They're all moving for what? Can you see? Islamic. Okay, yeah, they're different factions, slightly different beliefs, but when it comes to siding against the small hats, they're all in conjunction. So then you have other organizations. So I don't think these are given much credence like the ones above by the UN, but the UN are obviously, the UN have, if you like, put this down on a paper, but they also realize that these other organizations exist. So you've got the 18th Street Gang, also known as 18th Street, the Barrio 18, Mara 18, or simply 18 in North America, is a multi-ethnic transnational criminal organization that started as a street gang in LA. It is one of the largest transnational criminal gangs in Los Angeles, blah blah blah. I'm not going to read on. So now you've got these other organizations, and look how many of these are. The list goes on and on. You get to H, you have Hamas, the Islamic Resistance Movement, abbreviated Hamas, in Palestine, nationalist Sunni Islamic political organization with the military wing, blah blah blah. You've got different faction there, the Ezedin, Al-Qassam brigades, Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a Lebanon Shia Islamist political party, and militant group. Its parliamentary wing is the Jihad Council. Hezbollah was led by Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah from 1992 until assassination in the airstrike in Beirut in September 2024. So that was, that's what we've just witnessed. That's that Hezbollah. But you've got all these different factions. You've even got Hezbollah in Latin America. It's a splinter organization of the Shia Islamist Lebanon-based group Hezbollah, which operates throughout South America. So at this point, we're going to cut before we continue, and we're going to go back here. Remembering what we just read there. Hezbollah, Latin America. And we know there's a problem with, as you can see here, migrants. 400,000 migrant criminals just entered America. So we've got this situation with, these people coming over the border from America. How many of them are Hezbollah Latin America? That's just something worth looking at. So you go through this, you can go on all day. Look, the Houthis, so we know that they're based in Yemen. Look, Malaysia. So these are the people that have, on the right hand side, the designators, the people that have told the UN, yes, we want to declare these people as terrorists. Yemen, which is where we're seeing them fighting out of now. It says Yemen, officially the Republic Yemen is a country in West Asia, blah blah blah. Not really telling you much there, but so these are the countries that have basically told the UN, declare that, designate these people as those types of organizations. It just goes on and on. So when Bibi Netanyahu's coming out and saying, we're fighting these types of organizations to defeat it in 5 continents across the earth, there's a lot of these groups. I mean, not all of these are Islamic. Obviously, there's all different types. This is whatever they've gathered from around the world. But Libyan Islamic fighting group. There's a lot of Islamic groups in there, a hell of a lot. Moroccan Islamic combatant group. Look at who's declaring these people. who's holding their hand up to say, look, these are terrorists? UK, United States, European Union, obviously Ethiopia have spoken up about the Oromo Liberation Front. So there's a hell of a lot of these types of groups. Many of them are Islamic, and so now when you go back to Iraq and you see the situation, what's happening in Iraq at the minute, there's militant groups that are sending drones over into Lebanon, striking the small hats, but like I say, I haven't heard what group they are. So this is where the war intensifies, you see. I'll touch on it again in a bit, but if Iran play the nice guy, then it makes it easier for the other Arab nations to side with them, because they can say, well, look, we're not really provocating this war, it's the small hats. And so that's why Iran are trying to stay out of it as much as they can, and allow the proxy armies to do it. But while everything's developing, we're seeing more and more militant groups in that area. Anybody that's if you're basically Muslim and you're in that area, you got a gun, you're against the small hats. It's bottom line. The way that is coming out now, this is the line being drawn in the sand. And so, like I say, over the weekend, even though it's like, oh, the small hats are moved from Gaza to Lebanon to Beirut, they're doing the same thing there now, it's actually intensifying. The fight back is becoming more, and so the problem's becoming more. And like I say, meanwhile, supposedly Iran testing nuclear bomb Saturday night. So there's a hell of a lot happening in the minute. So the scripture in my mind for this particular lesson was Revelation 12:12. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And so the devil, the physical counterpart of the devil, is Esau, these Edomites. And we know the banking elites are at the pinnacle of that system, and we then want to look at their timing, because they're the ones who believe, it says here, because he knoweth that he hath a short time. So the Most High has given us inside info. He's told us, look, when you see them, know that they understand in their own minds that they have a short time. Now we can take, we use that, I normally use that when it comes to the prophets out on the streets, especially in America, because what's that has done over the last few decades or however long, that has let the elites of this Edomite system know that the Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is spirit is moving. There was silence for how many years, nobody knew the name. All of a sudden you've got these so-called black men on the streets, no college education, but yet they're out here, no college education in terms of the Bible or Bible scholarship, but yet they're out here breaking down these scriptures, and they're telling us who they really are. So that was the real wake-up call to these Edomites. But obviously, as time moves on, other things develop to put them under more and more pressure. The fact that we're out here, we're warning you that these things are coming very soon, World War III, so on and so forth. The fact that we warn you about the MOTB, they hear that, and so they think, well, how do these people know our plans so well? And it's because of the Holy Spirit. So that ultimately lets them know they have a short time. when it comes to the banking elites creating war in the Middle East, which could be the final nail in the coffin for the worldwide fiat system. Once, if we've got problems with oil and so on and so forth, inflation, if war kicks off in that region, that could have a massive effect. That could be the last nail in the coffin for the fiat currency system. It would a war, before any new president was due to take place. In America, you've got the election coming up next month, and then the new president would have to come in, say around January. They've set it up so that there can only be one winner. Kamala Harris is a poor choice of candidate, clearly. It's almost like they make her look bad on purpose, so that there is only one clear winner, the so-called hero, DJ Trump. So I've said, if war breaks out, regional war before, they could vote Donald Trump in, and let get the people really excited, and then they can say, oh, sorry, we've gone to war before he stepped into office. This current presidency, Joe Biden, has to stay. So then that could lead us into the civil unrest, so on and so forth. So that when it comes to having a short time, there's also a window of opportunity that Esau has to work out. These elites, they have to activate this war, clear the land, do whatever they want to do down there, let it affect the financial system, do it in time where they have major civil unrest in America, and like I've said before, then they just wait for the people to take to the streets. Everything gets turned on its head. The answer will be the MOTB. So now we got to look at the devil's clock to know that he has a short time. Which clock is he looking at? And the clock that he's looking at is this: the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the UN. And we can go into the Great Reset, the WEF, the IMF. We can go into Klaus Schwab. We can go into 2020 to 2030, the Great Reset, so on and so forth. The digitization. Is it the fourth or fifth Industrial Revolution? We can go into all these different things. But to address it at its highest level, you'd have to go to this, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the UN. I said in the previous video that the UN aren't part of the beast system, but they're a body, an organization, which is supposed to, if you like, be like a referee. And so this is where you have all this uproar, because we know the banking elites will manipulate what happens within the UN. We know the UN are allowing Bibi to do what he's doing in the Middle East. At the same time, the members of the UN call for him to stop, but they let him carry on. So it all seems confusing until you realize that the banking elites control these organizations. The UN have their hand in this Great Reset, this agenda change. They had their hand in the war, and they just came out and announced the Pact for the Future. So when you want to look at the devil's clock to see where's he looking at for time to be short, then this is the clock that he's looking at. See, he set himself this goal, 2020 to 2030, yet there's only a certain window of opportunity that he can take to make all these catastrophic events come together at once. He can't go to war now and then try and create civil unrest in 3 years' time, and then do the MOTB 2 years after that in 2030. It doesn't make sense. All these things have to come together to have such a massive effect on the worldwide financial system, the worldwide morale, the turning of upside down situation, so on and so forth. The civil unrest, people fed up, these political parties, people take to the streets, men are getting dragged over to Armageddon, and ultimately then the answer will be the MOTB. But the Most High has another plan, is for all this to escalate out of control for him, to the point where all the other nations fall out with them and ultimately shoot him with nuclear ICBMs. So that's the bit Esau, these devils that they're not counting on. So you've got that situation with the time, and then you kind of looking at the situation as it is today. Like I say, it can seem a little bit like, how long is this taking, but major things are happening all the time, and what you're watching is a sophisticated game of chess. The Most High is playing, and he's using these other nations against each other, and his main pawn is Bibi Netanyahu. So we go down to the area here. This is Google Map, obviously, and you can see here where the arrow is, you've got the strip. And so they've moved from the strip. This is where the last year all the action has gone on down here. When you actually check it, you go all the way back and look at this. Look how small it is. That little strip of land is where the Third World War starts, but it has to develop into the Levant, this whole area. You're going to end up with Armageddon, which means mountain of troops. So this is where the Most High has to build it up from there. And at the minute, what the small hats have done is they've gone over to Lebanon. Now you look around, for example, before we go into Lebanon, you look around, you've got Egypt up to here, Saudi Arabia, you've got Iraq. Remember, I just said over the weekend Iraq have been sending drones over Syrian airspace into Beirut. Putin he's not complaining about it. All he's done is he's told Russian nationals that if you can get out of this area, get out of it now, before the airspaces are closed. Jordan, it's another country there. Now Jordan have apparently intercepted, I think a rocket came from here to Iraq, and Jordan intercepted it, and they basically said, look, we're intercepting it and we're not allowing you to use our airspace either way for all that shenanigans. So that's something that you're not really going to hear about in the West. I believe that Mahmoud talks about it. The other day you had rockets coming from Iran, 12 minutes to here. Syria, you're backed by Russia, clearly backed by Russia. Turkey up here, major player. So the thing with Lebanon, the reason why they got in there is because you have, as we just read on that list, Hezbollah. Is it? No, Hezbollah. They're part of they're classed as a political party in Lebanon. You see, what you have in these countries, in, for example, like Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, you have your standardized leaders, if you like. Is it this one here? So you have these leaders, Saudi Arabia and others on the Middle East. These are the leaders. And now in this particular video, this is only 16 minutes. UN, if can't stop the small hats, the world may not accept the result. So this is what they're saying. This was last week. Now they've come out and done this a couple of times before, but obviously with the increase in escalation in violence, you watch this particular video, they come on, they're like a group of rappers, You got a group of rappers, they'll play the music in the background, and then one by one he'll spit his 24 bars. He'll come, and they kind of do it like that. So they just do their 5 minutes. He does his 5 minutes. He does his 5 minutes. But this particular guy here, I forgot which. I don't know if he was Egypt. I can't really remember, to be honest. But he's pissed, and he keeps pointing at this. He keeps going, look, the Security Council. Because we've told them, they're not listening. Security Council of what? The UN. The UN Security Council. So it's back to that group in the center of all this madness. And what they're doing is they're saying, look, we've spent a year telling you, stop what's going on. It's a clear, the G word. It's a clear GE, such and such. So is it GENO? It's a clear case of that. You need to get it stopped. But obviously, where they're not stopping it. It's allowing Bibi to build himself up, and it's allowing all the 30 years. This is what he says. He said it. He said all that 30 years of work, you've reversed it. You've actually already reversed it by doing what you're doing, but you do it more. All you're doing is making our region unstable. So this is why the Most High is letting him carry on, get away with it. This is why Iran are playing the cautious game. Like I said the other day, they'll send a rocket that you can see coming, just to show you, look, we'll send you a rocket. Yeah, you saw it coming. Yeah, you shot it down maybe, but we're not going to just take this line down. But they're not coming out all guns blazing, because when they talk to these guys, they can say, well, look, we're not the antagonists. We're not the ones causing the problem. And so when it comes to World War III, for prophecy to be fulfilled, ultimately you need these nations to fall on the side of Iran. So that's why Iran is saying, well, we're not the antagonists. You've been at the Security Council. You've asked them to get them to stop this. They're not doing it, and here they are still attacking us. So this is all leading us into that direction. If it's true that Iran have tested this nuclear bomb over the weekend and they're good to go, that's going to have a major shift change in attitude between all these leaders, because they're going to go, oh, so our next door neighbor now has a nuclear ICBM, we better start playing ball with them. And this is going to shift great power towards like a massive attraction for these leaders to side with Iran, which they're kind of doing at the minute, because like I say, they keep coming out and calling for it, but at some point action needs to be taken. So these are all the things the Most High is building up. Many different things. He's bringing tension onto multiple relationships at once. He's not just bringing tension between the small hats and Iran. He's bringing tension between the whole world. That's why you got people like Keir Starmer saying, oh, get your nationals out. Putin, people all around the world. America have got troops in that Middle East. So the only people that aren't there at the minute is people from the East, the Far East, and so on and so forth. And while all this is going on, while America are deploying more and more troops into the Middle East and the tensions are escalating, who's rubbing their hands? China and North Korea, because they have their own agendas in their own areas. And the thing that stops them at the minute is being invaded by UN troops, which is ultimately EU and the NATO, America. They don't want to cause a problem, and it makes a massive problem in the area. But if regional war kicks off here in the Middle East, they're rubbing their hands, because they'll go and do what they got to do, and they'll say, well, America stop them in the Middle East and come and stop us in the Far East. And so now you start to see how the Most High is bringing everybody into this scenario piece by piece. You can't just you don't just start off with two people fighting and then everybody joins in. The Most High is building up the tension and the thoughts and the understanding between all these leaders around the earth, Oh, if this is what's the new development, I can do this. Oh, if that's the new development, we better do that. And everybody's now got this agenda, and you're seeing it clear, coming out at once. You know, there was reports last week of North Korea, threatening South Korea. That's North Korea realizing, this thing's about to escalate. So now we can start to play our games over here, and see if America have got the facilities to come and defend not just one, not just two, but 3 parts of the globe. Because don't forget, you got America giving their help to Ukraine. So this is the problem. You see, now you see what the Most High is doing. He's about to rip the fucking backside out of Babylon. America, the hammer of the earth. He's about to rip their fucking backside out by fucking making them look at Ukraine, having to look at the Middle East, having to look at the Far East. Yet meanwhile, you got Netanyahu. You go back to what that Mahmoud said. He shows it to you. The things they're doing are just slowly dragging America into the Middle East. They're getting dragged slowly, bit by bit, by every maneuver he makes. By the next atrocity, the next atrocity, the next atrocity, and more people keep coming in from America, more troops. Meanwhile, America looking to the Far East and looking at Ukraine. The Far East are looking back, and they're going, okay, is that you, yeah? So you're getting into your second war now. And so we might be the ones to start off the third. 3 parts to the Third World War. So, I don't know if there'll be war down in the Far East. There could well likely be. Ultimately, we're concentrating on Armageddon, which is the mountain of troops in the Levant, in the Middle East, in that particular area. But Yahweh Bashim Hawashai has Bibi Netanyahu exactly where he wants him. The funny thing is, he doesn't even realize it. We're sitting here looking at him going, he's playing you. The Most High is playing you. But he ain't going to get it. He's just going to do what the Most High does. And all we can say is all praises to Yahweh Bashim Hawashai. He has that power. This is what we've been trying to explain to these people. They're not going to get it. That's why they're going to have to witness the power come the day of the Lord. So, so back to the map. So, the small hats, they're here. They've pretty much cleared out this section. They've cleared it out. We all know what's going on over there. I don't need to bring you a picture. It's just a pile of rubble and rocks. Maybe the couple of odd people left here and there. So, just quickly assessing the map. So Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Iraq have been sending in drones. Syria. You don't want to get into it with Syria because that will really bring out a war. But this is what that Mahmoud is trying to explain. Benjamin Netanyahu is in the mood, like as if to say, I don't care. If I go and do something, look, apparently they nearly hit near an airbase, a Russian airbase the other day in Syria. Had that brought Russian troops into the area, that would then force America's hand to defend the small hats. Bibi Netanyahu knows this, so that's why he can keep. Now, you know what Netanyahu's like? He's like that guy that you don't want to hang around because he keeps getting you and him into fights. You hang around with this guy, and everywhere you go, he's challenging people to fights. Yeah, me and my mate will take you out, and you're looking at him going, "Who's your mate? Who's you and your mate? Stop getting me into fights." But that's what Bibi Netanyahu is at the minute. America are like, yeah, we're gonna back you, but just take it easy. Bibi Netanyahu ain't taking it easy. Everywhere he goes, he's offering people out. Yeah, me and my mate will take you out. Me and my mate, and you're the mate standing at the background going, "Wait, why'd you keep calling me into these fights?" And this is the problem they got. So they slowly getting dragged into this scenario. So going up, so small hats down here, Gaza, and they've gone up the coast. So you've got the border. It's just there. They've Tyre side on. So these are obviously what we recognise in the Bible, in the scriptures. You look at the picture there, it looks nice and beautiful, right? Let's have a look at Tyre. Ah, wonderful. Looks like you could go on vacation there. But they skip these they skip these areas and they jump straight into Beirut, which is obviously the capital. They've gone headed straight for there now. Hang on. Yeah, this is it. So you'd think they'd want to blast that up and blast that up before they made it down to there, but they didn't. They just jumped straight there. Now you can say, okay, that's the capital. This nation is obviously, this is what he's claiming, is run by, terrorists, i.e. Hezbollah, Nasrallah, who got taken out the other day. But they skipped over Tyre and Sidon. When you look at Tyre and Sidon, modern day pictures, it looks beautiful. Look, wow, look at that. You could even go on holiday, have a little trip down there, take your wife, relax, see some sights, and all this good stuff. Then you hang on. But then you look actually what happened in 2006. And then you see what it really looks like. So this was in 2006. So you could say, okay, that was 18 years ago. They must have fixed it back up. Surely I can go back there on vacation once more. After what happened in 2006. This is Tyre today. That's exactly what it looks like at this particular moment. They still haven't recovered from what happened in 06. And so this is going back to what these leaders are saying. You've just reversed 30 years of sorting out this problem, and they've just gone straight back into this situation where they're back to bombing this place once more. What this news reporter does, she goes to I mean, I didn't expect it, but the next thing she goes, look, we drove through Tyre, and they just explained it, and then look at it. So this is it today. So there was no need to stop in Tyre and Zidon, and they just simply had to move past it and go straight to Beirut. There's nothing there, but this is how they've left it. And you see that at the minute there where the camera shook. I mentioned the sonic boom the other day. While they were standing there was actually a sonic boom, but the reporter basically shit themselves because they thought it was a bomb, and then they ran outside, they looked, and they realised it was a sonic boom. So the jets are still flying overhead. But look at this place. This is Tyre. This is Tyre. You go to modern day Tyre and Zidon. They're showing you some beautiful place. Look, people going on holiday. The reality is this. This is the reality. And this is why these Middle Eastern nations are like, oh, hang on a minute, you small hats are really messing this up again, because you've already gone and done this how many times in the past. We thought we had 30 years of relatively good peace, yet this woman's talking about her whole family. She's pointing out where each one of her members of family were killed, however many years ago. So yeah, so what's the next move? I mean, like I say, you've got this video here with Mahmoud, and Small Hats planning a response. Says they will pay with interest, and they are also looking at Iraq. We will find something to do there. Like I say, you've had the drones, coming over from Iraq over towards Lebanon. The small hats have cleared this strip. They've come up here. They've gone beyond Sidon, Tyre, Sidon, Sidon, and they're up in Beirut. They've had a small issue where one of their missiles landed near the Russian airbase in Syria. I don't know if that's on purpose or not. Something around here is going to end up drawing these other nations into this third woe. Again, like you've got Jordan, Egypt, Iraq, Iran are over there. Yes, you've got Iran, Turkey, another big player. And these, like I say, at the minute, a lot of these leaders, they know what's happening, they know what's going on. That's why they're issuing warnings to their nationals in this particular area. If you look at this situation now, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get into the mind of Netanyahu to see where he's going, because we know that the Most High is controlling his mind. We understand the secrets of the Most High Yahweh Ba'ashim Hawashai. We believe we are the prophets, and we tell you what's going to happen before it happens. We told you, I told you the Third World War will be here by 2026. I told you that in January 2023. And so we kind of need to get into the mind to understand. We know we can do that because the Most High is working with us. Like I say, we understand that. Looking at these details, we can see how what the small hats are doing are building tensions in that particular area. But you've also got to look at their overall plan. You can see the changing borders of Israel, Palestine, and then you've got 1888, Ottoman Empire, the British Empire, but then from 1918 to 1946, look who took over. But even though they're an empire, the people would probably, most likely still be living in this particular area. Now we have the UN resolution. Okay, so it goes at UN again, 181. The UN plan, 1947. So they drew up this plan. They're going to split the land. You can see here, it's still a British Empire, but they were going to split it between these particular groups. And so, but then we fast forward to 1949, and so this is what we ended up with. And so today, this is where it is. This is where all the trouble pretty much in the Middle East is based around this particular spot. You'll notice that Gaza was yellow, and the West Bank was part of Jordan. 1967 to 79. So we start to see a takeover in these particular parts. You see, this is annexed. Same with Gaza, annexed. Even at the top there, you've got Golan Heights. So that's something you hear about now. There's a lot of retaliation from Hezbollah in Golan Heights around this particular area. It's because of these particular reasons. That goes back. And then, so 1995, you've got the Camp David Accords, so on and so forth. And then you start to see the people, because like I say, you've got these people. It's about the people. And then they started to be grouped up in these particular areas. So 2005 to 2023, so basically as of 2023, you can see Gaza is all green, Palestine. And so what happened in 2023? The small hats pretty much obliterated this piece of land, and we don't know how many, I don't know off the top of my head how many people are left. A lot of them perished, some have survived. Where they are, whether they're there, whether they've spread over to escaped, who knows. But this is what the world, that tiny little spot where World War III is going to start from, leading up to the events we've seen over the last year and what's going to be coming up very soon. And So now you kind of get an idea of what they're doing. They've obliterated these people. And if you think about it, over the next 10 to 20 years, if they were to put money back in there, rebuild it, what people, the people, how many of these people are actually left? So what people will be going there and using the area for whatever's been put in there in the next, say, 10 to 20, 30 years? It's these small hats. See, so this is clearing the land. Obviously you go north to Lebanon, you've got gas fields, so on and so forth. But they they're counting Hezbollah, who are a political party, but they count them as the terrorists. So it seems like a long wait. We're waiting for something to happen to really ignite this situation. There's not far to go. Somewhere at any point, this is all going to get triggered into this wider regional conflict. And like I say, with news of Iran over Saturday night, apparently testing a nuclear bomb. Apparently there was earthquake type tremors felt in this particular area, but then people saying that it's not quite similar, it's not quite as an earthquake tremor would be, i.e. it must be them testing a bomb. So things are about to get hot, real quick, real soon. It's 2024, the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. We had the completion of the Ar and the Thar, the solar eclipse, and these things don't come around every now and again. Every so often. This is a once in a lifetime situation that you're about to witness. The Most High is about to bring the Battle of Armageddon into this particular area. So you go back to Revelation 12 and 12. It says, having great wrath, the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath. That's going to be with the MOTB. In America, that will mean martial law camps set up. If you don't take the MOTB, you'll be marched down to the martial law camp. Because remember, the MOTB, the device under the skin, is going to be a device to buy and sell, but it's also going to include all your identifications. Your identification proves your citizenship. So let's just say tomorrow morning you have to have that device under the skin that provides your system of payment and your citizenship, your identification, but you don't have one. So what happens when you're walking on the street? You're an illegal immigrant. You're illegal. So where's your papers? But your paper is your identification. So you'll be standing there with the police officer pulling out your pieces of paper, and he'll say, well, this is redundant, this doesn't exist. We live in the new world now, son, and I want to scan your device under your skin. Oh, you don't have one? You're an illegal alien. So what do you do with illegal aliens? You chuck them in the back of the van, and you round them up to camp. Even though they're letting them in now at the minute over the borders, as I showed at the beginning, but that's to create the chaos so they can eventually come with that new order. So he's going to come down with that, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. And another way to phrase that, a short time, when you've got a short time to do something, it's one way you could describe it is your window of opportunity. It's not there forever. It's a short window of opportunity, and you have to take it while the window is open. And like I say, we've got this situation with civil unrest in America. This war could break out before a new president comes into America. It could put a pause on the new presidential change. That could just stir up the people even more. We've got the situation that the Most High has been working on it for about a year with Bibi, building him up, getting him into this situation in the Middle East. The timing of these things to be coinciding. The WEF talking about so many people are going to perish next year, new use of this digital system, device under the skin, so on and so forth. So the window of opportunity is about to click in, and once it's there, these elites cannot miss it, because they want to create the war, a regional war. They want to put a lot of pressure onto the financial system, bring it down and collapse it. They then want civil unrest. They want to put, I believe they want to pause the presidential changeover, because they made it clear. It's clear. Anyone, if you ask anyone with a level head, they'll say, well, the presidential election is just a waste of time. But if you had to choose one of the two, you're going to choose Trump, because Kamala's just don't know what she's doing. But so they give you that and they make it happen, and then they don't allow the change. It's just going to cause unrest. So these things are all here now. If one of these opportunities is allowed to be resolved, then the other opportunities go to waste, because they won't coincide with each other. Then the Most High has to start all over again and build up that pressure point all over again. When would that happen? The next presidential election, 2029? So just at the end of this 2020-30, don't forget, the devil has a short time. He has a window of opportunity. Ultimately, his goal is set by this is his clock. And so, you could say, well, the next 5 years, big things are going to happen. Yeah, but the window of opportunity is right before us now. The next couple of weeks, like I say, what happens with this regional war is a big thing, because once that triggers, if America are officially in war, they have to send more troops. Multiple nations start to go. Maybe it won't be at the stage of a world war straight away, but that window of opportunity is going to be there. The elites will put the pressure on the financial system, collapse it. You might see MOTBs start to get issued out. You might see the people being told to buy and sell digitally using the app-based system on the phone for a while, and that regional war could develop on for a little bit longer, and then eventually, it would get moved to the device under the skin. And as problems get worse and worse, life gets more difficult. People over there in the Middle East, people will be getting killed left, right, and centre. Obviously, all that will increase. So, the window of opportunity, the short time that the devil has, is also the peak of Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble will have all these things going on, and like we keep telling you, we're at the beginning of sorrows. We're at the beginning of a time like never been seen before. That window of opportunity that the devil is going to use. The Most High has put the spirit on the devil to do it. That's why it's timed so perfectly. Yet when it gets into gear and it all starts to take place, everything's going to escalate out of their hands. Eventually all these nations are going to turn on America, Babylon the Great. They're going to shoot the ICBMs, so-called UFOs, angelic vehicles are going to appear in the sky, beam up the elect. All these other nations, all their armies will fight against these angelic vehicles, and all hell will be let loose on earth. That by then it will be the day of the Lord. So we've got a hell of a show to witness coming up very soon. It kind of reminds me of school. When you're at school, I don't know if you remember, but we played this game, What's the Time, Mr. Wolf? And the kids, they stand on the wall, and then another kid stands on the other wall face. What happens, you have one kid facing the wall and a couple of kids are standing far back, and every time these kids will say, "What's the time, Mr. Wolf?" and then he'll say, "It's 1 o'clock, it's 3 o'clock, it's 4 o'clock." And whatever number he says, these kids have to take the steps forward to go towards him. At some point, he's not allowed to turn around, but at some point, instead of giving a time, he can say it's dinner time. When he says it's dinner time, he turns around, he runs for the kids. All the kids are screaming. That's the point at which this regional war starts to break out, because these people around the world, they're panicking at the minute. These media outlets are always are the small hats leading us into the Third World War? Imagine the talk when a full-out regional war is taking place down there. We're going to be rubbing our hands. The media outlets are going to be questioning everything, panicking, but they're probably going to still paint a certain agenda. That's why we have to go to these places, other places, via the internet. We go to, that, like the person Mahmoud, who brings out information from the heart of the area where it's all happening. So this is what's happening. We're asking Mr. Wolf what's the time, and he keeps giving out a time. Every time he gives out a number, we take steps closer to him. If he doesn't turn around in time, if he decides to keep giving out time, it's 3 o'clock, it's 2 o'clock, it's 1 o'clock, then we win, because we make it to the wall, to touch the wall before he turned around. And that's the trick of being Mr. Wolf, the timing. You have to wait for them to get close to you, and then say it's dinner time, and then turn around and run for them, and then all the kids scream. And then eventually, look, you look at it here, and then you'll have the Battle of Armageddon. I didn't really point out Yemen down there. You've got Yemen. That's where the Houthis are. One of their tactics is to restrict the flow of consumer goods through this particular route. If this area goes into regional war, oil prices will be affected by Iran, them being involved in it. And then we know, obviously, once certain areas are involved in war, that will bring partnerships from people like Russia, so on and so forth. So, like I said, there's 2 videos. There's this one here, small hats and US agree on attack plan. Iran moves oil tankers. You even got Netanyahu's house targeted, and I believe, hang on a minute, see if I can catch it. They do show pictures of it somewhere along the line. I believe they do, but I mean, he's probably not even there. He's causing all this problem in the Middle East. If they know his house so well, apparently they've targeted it before, and they've done it again. So the chances are he leaves it set up as his house, but he probably lives somewhere else. But this is a good video to watch. What I would say is watch the other one first. Watch this one first. Small Hats attack tonight. A year to the 7th of October attacks. What do we know? And he'll talk about the nuclear ICBMs. Watch this one for the first half an hour. And this one, I'd say watch till first 45 minutes. So I'm going to leave it right there. Until next time, I hope that was edifying. And all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Rakak, Quadash. And until next time, Shalom.